Morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. We've made it to our final synchronous meeting, so we'll make it a good one for sure. Today we have Christina Buzis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. She's here with WC. She's an advisor with the Counseling and Career Planning Department, and she's going to be going over just kind of wrapping things up, future plans, thinking about what to do pertaining to future coursework, career exploration, guidance, those sorts of things. And then when she's done, I'll have her hand it back over to me and we will go over your final assignments, putting all together your portfolios, both your career one and your reflective portfolio. So I'll toss it over to her and then we'll get started. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, good morning. Thanks for having me join your class this morning. I'm going to give you a name and face, then I'm going to turn off my webcam. So I'm not self-consciously watching myself while I'm talking. I look forward to meeting with you in the department if you are interested in coming to meet with me specifically to talk about your individual plans and goals moving forward beyond this semester. So here we go. We'll get started. All right, so Megan already gave a nice introduction. So these are the three things I'm going to go over as we're chatting today. So I want to just tell you a little bit about myself. I started out of high school at University of Michigan, and I had the grand idea that I was going to apply to the Ross School of Business, like probably thousands of other incoming freshmen. And I thought that my goal was to be a CEO of a company. And I wanted to be a leader, and I knew I had some of that skill set. And that's what I wanted to do. Well, of course, as any pre-business student, you're taking economics, micro and macro. So that's what I did my first year with 400 other freshmen, generally, in that large lecture hall. Nothing like Washtenaw. I kind of wish I would have known about coming here first. And I realized I didn't like economics. I didn't stop there. I did an internship that was business related, kind of with sales, and realized I'm not competitive, I'm collaborative. And so I didn't enjoy my internship. I didn't enjoy my economics classes. And I realized, well, that really was the foundation of business. So that was a no-go. And I had to reevaluate my course of action and figure out, well, what do I do next? So I looked at all of the list of majors that U of M offered at the College of Literature, Science, and Arts, because I wasn't going to transfer. So I just had to look for plan B. And I realized, oh, for my general education, I was taking psychology and sociology and enjoyed those classes, did well in them, looked at the curriculum of those majors, and figured out that, okay, I wouldn't mind studying those subjects. I would enjoy those classes. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to declare those as my majors, but I didn't really have an idea of what am I going to do with them for a career. I just took one thing at a time. Let's tackle the major first. And I felt like at that time, it seemed as if they were the everything and nothing majors. I thought that I could do, everyone kept telling me, you can do anything with these majors, but I didn't know quite what that would be. So I was a commuter at U of M, which is not as common, so I didn't feel quite as connected or involved. And I had another student who told me about this mentoring program that I could get involved in. So I could be a peer mentor to incoming freshmen. And this was now like my sophomore year. And I could help them get acclimated to the campus and transition. And I thought, well, that's not bad. I enjoy helping people, so I'll do that. So I enjoyed being a mentor to freshman students. And then I started working as a student staff for the program, helping to plan some of those social and academic events to get those students and faculty and staff connected so they can chit chat and connect and make those networking associations. And I ended up working for that program out of college, actually. So it really laid the foundation for my career in higher education. Figured that I needed to go get a master's degree, so I went to Bowling Green. And one of my semesters at Bowling Green, I started working at Washtenaw and haven't left since. So it's been over 9 years. So here I am. So from something like a plan not working out to reevaluating and saying yes to an opportunity that I really didn't think was going to take me anywhere, it really ended up being the foundation of my career and why I decided to stay working with college students. So my point there is sometimes things don't go according to plan, reevaluate. It doesn't mean stay in the world, And saying yes to opportunities may just provide you and present you with that next step of something that you really enjoy that you never would have thought about before. So that's a little bit about me. So moving forward. So as you have been doing the different assignments and activities for this class, you've been working on kind of finding this career direction. And you can see these double-sided arrows for this process. You know, finding a career direction, there are certain things that you could do. You know, most people don't just wake up one day and say, this is what I'm gonna do the rest of my life. You know, those are the 1% of students that I work with that have always known what they wanted to do. So if you're still feeling a little undecided or still kind of working through some of your options, it's very normal. But it all starts usually with understanding yourself. So as I gave you my example, you know, what did I like? What have I taken? What didn't I like about the experiences that I've already had when I was thinking I was going to be pursuing business? So this is where you do a lot of those like self-assessments, which I know you've done a few of those in this class. Exploring those opportunities, you know, so you've gotten some ideas of careers that might be good fits with your interests and personality. Well, now you got to learn about them and what do those entail in terms of education and money that you might potentially make. Is it even in demand right now in the area that you want to live in? Is that going to meet the lifestyle that you want, right? Those are the kind of questions you got to be asking yourself as you're exploring and doing that research. And then at some point, you know, you don't want to hit analysis paralysis. You got to make a decision at some point. You know, you have to take a step in a direction. Even though I didn't have a career plan with the psychology and sociology major decision, I made a decision so I can move forward with my life and start thinking about, okay, well, now that I picked these majors, what could I do professionally? So at some point, you got to make that call for yourself when you're feeling like you've gathered enough information, and then start planning for action. Okay, so do you need an internship? Do you need a mentor? Do you need additional courses to complete your plan? Do you need to kind of change your part-time job that you're in to allow you to be ready for this opportunity that you're trying to work toward? Making connections and securing opportunities, right? So I'm kind of reiterating a little bit of that. Networking is so important. I mean, one of the most important things that I did in that mentoring program was I got to meet a lot of people on campus because we were helping to connect incoming new students with faculty and with staff. So I got to meet a lot of these different people. And my supervisor at that time was in her master's for higher education, and she really encouraged me to look into that field as a possibility that might be a good fit for me. And I wouldn't have even known that was a possibility without making those connections. Gaining experience. Every employer will want to see that you have the experience that's related to back up your education. It's not just about getting the degree anymore. It's about getting those internships, getting those relevant experiences, whether paid or unpaid. Now, I know a lot of our students here at Washtenaw are working to pay bills, a lot of times even full-time, and it may not be related to the field that you want to go into. So you're going to have to work with our career services office to figure out what are the transferable skills from your current job that you could apply to the career that you want, or how could you maybe transition into something that would be related to what you want to go into and still help you pay for the bills that you are experiencing right now in this stage of life. So that's really important to find things, do something that's related to what you'd like to go into. So can you give me some examples of maybe some of those exercises or activities that went along with the sections of this chart as you've been completing this course? And you can type in your responses. I'll give you a moment to type those in, and I'll recap that chart. So what kinds of things have you been doing that is connected to this finding career direction chart? Jacob, thank you for responding. Finding myself. Okay, good. Understanding myself and planning for action. Was there any particular exercise or activity within those headings that you feel helped you understand yourself or explore your opportunities? Pamela, we did an informational interview to learn more about a field you might want to go into. I learned a lot. Oh, I love informational interviews. Thank you for sharing that activity. Anything else that you can think of where I am now, okay? Finding myself, good. Any particular, so several of you have said, finding yourself or kind of assessing where you are now. What activities led to that? What activities helped you to understand yourself a little bit better? Thinking of those exercises that you've done in this class. Okay. Were there any, so generally with that understanding myself, you probably did a few different career assessments through there's like the career. Okay, so like the free career assessments, there's a lot of different online resources. I know you do a couple of those through here, and that's a great place to start. And as Pamela mentioned earlier too, the informational interview, that was really helpful. Morgan, there was a job search site website activities that helped me get an idea. Good, yes. There's a lot of reliable research out there and resources. You don't just have to limit yourself to doing a Google search. This is part of taking the class and making those connections, is seeing, learning about which online websites or which resources you should be utilizing as you're in this process. So thank you for participating. Appreciate that. All right, let's move along. So one of the key things as you're figuring out what it is that you want to do is to identify what's going to be your path to get there. And part of my roles as an academic advisor is to help you do that. So, if you have an idea of a career that you want to pursue, I would love to connect with you if you don't already know how to get there. And so your occupational outlook handbook is one of my go-to sites in order to know what is the path that needs to be taken for a different career and what education is needed. Sometimes they'll even be specific about what kind of major, or if you need to go on for even a master's degree, or if it's some sort of certification or licensure that you need to obtain. So that's where advising can play a role and help you create a path towards your goal, is to figure out what kind of education you need to obtain for that career field, because it does vary. And you want to be aware of that, because some of the students I know that I've met with one-on-one will say, I know my goal is an associate's degree. I'm at that point in my life where I know it's not feasible for me to transfer and to go on for more. So I'm going to look at the different careers that fit my interests, but that I can obtain within a 2-year degree. So that's important for you to know, are you willing to transfer? Are you willing to move to go to university, or are you kind of geographically bound to this area or where you might be, because I know you all are online, to pursue that further education? So that's the things to think about as you're working toward that goal that you have. A lot of our students do end up and need to transfer in order to get to that career goal. And a lot of what we do in advising is to help with that transfer process. It can seem a bit overwhelming at first, but we help to break it down into the parts and pieces that you need to take care of. So planning is at the center and at the core of making sure that when you're transferring, you're not losing any of your credits from Washtenaw. Some classes transfer to different universities and some don't. And when you work with us, we can show you some of those transfer resources so that you're aware of what you're taking and how it transfers to the schools that you might be considering. We're fortunate to host transfer fairs every fall and winter semester. The next one's going to be coming up in February. So if you're on the verge of transferring in the next year, this is a good opportunity to meet different admissions representatives from various universities in Michigan. They're driving to you on the second, and they're going to be there at the second floor of the Student Center. So I encourage you to visit that in February if you can take the time to do that. And then we also encourage, they're coming to you, they're making an effort to meet our students, but then I would encourage you, once you've identified a couple of universities that you might be considering, to make that trip to that campus if you haven't already visited before. It's really important to get a feel for where you will be for your remainder of your education, and to meet some of the students and to hopefully meet some of the program faculty that you might be interacting with in your major, so that you just are aware of kind of what your resources are there and if that's a good fit for you. For transfer admissions, what's really common is obviously an application, just like with any school, but a lot of the universities will charge you to apply. Some of them don't have a fee, but many of them do, and there are deadlines. So unlike Washtenaw, where it's kind of like an application all the time, we don't have a specific deadline. I mean, certainly we have, semester start dates and such, but, we don't have a particular application deadline, but universities generally will for you to be considered for admission. And if there's any financial hardship, you can always call the admissions office to discuss an application fee waiver. There's a form that you typically fill out if for any reason there's a financial hardship where you're unable to pay the application fee. So don't hesitate to ask the admissions office about that should you need that. Generally speaking, the minimum transferable credits, college level credits, so 100 level or above, is 12. And that's Eastern. Eastern will say you can transfer with 12 college credits with at least a 2.0. They're the anomaly to that. Most schools will say we want 28, 26, 30 credits. U of M will even say, for LS&A, 55 to 60 credits of transferable coursework to be competitive. So it just all depends on the different university that you might be considering. So connect with us so that we can talk about those transfer admissions criteria. The maximum that you can transfer, I know Washtenaw is great. It's smaller class sizes. You actually know your instructor. It's not a graduate student instructor. And, it's just a great environment. I have lots of students that tell me, I wish we had bachelor's degrees here. I would love to not have to transfer. I agree. But the maximum that you can stay here for, generally speaking, is 60 credits. So even though it's cheaper, it doesn't do you any good to get, 80, 90 credit hours if the university is only going to take 60 credits. So you want to be mindful of where you're at in terms of your total transfer credits so that you're not losing any as you're transferring. Generally, the minimum is 2.0 for a lot of universities, but the competitive schools will say minimum 3.0. So MSU, U of M will say 3.0 to apply. And certainly if you want to be considered for scholarships, transfer scholarships, which their schools do offer those, you'll need a higher GPA, 3.5, 3.2, just depending on that scholarship opportunity. A lot of schools will require certain essays. They usually will provide you with some questions, and you have to write about yourself and the response to those questions in those essays. Some will even say recommendation letters are optional, but even if they say optional, it's a good idea to provide those. And then also official transcripts sent from the university that you attended or the college from all prior colleges. So even if you've attended one school for one semester and you didn't complete any coursework there, you still need to send them an official transcript. They will not admit you without having all of those transcripts from all the schools that you've previously attended. So as you're continuing at Washtenaw, if there's any faculty that you've taken their classes, you've gotten along well with, they would be the people to start asking those recommendation letters. You want to do it while you are fresh in their mind, not 2 years from now where they may not remember you as you're getting ready to apply. So if there's someone that you've liked working with here, whether an instructor, a staff member, start asking for those recommendation letters and just kind of keeping them in a file folder for yourself that you can send off to the universities or to scholarships as you need them. So as you're thinking about transferring credit, if that's a goal of yours, one of the main ways that we encourage students at the minimum is to complete general education, which we refer to as the Michigan Transfer Agreement. That's 30 credits of 100 and 200 level courses. And I'll get in a little bit more specifics on what those courses would entail. Beyond the Michigan Transfer Agreement or general education, if we have transfer guides for the school that you want to go to and the major, this would be another resource that we would use in advising for that transfer school. Transfer guides are roadmaps for the program that you want to pursue. So for example, we have a transfer guide for someone who wants to go to Grand Valley and eventually apply to speech pathology. They give us a layout of what kind of classes you can take at Washtenaw. In addition to transfer guides are, course for course equivalencies. So sometimes if we don't have a transfer guide or if we don't have an agreement with the school, but you're looking for a particular major at a university, we'll look up the curriculum, so what's required for that major. We'll use the course for course equivalency webpage, and we'll try to see what we have at Washtenaw that transfers. So I'm doing this with one of my students right now who wants to do a BA in experience architecture at MSU. So very specific major that, I've never really worked with before, but, just we can gather all this information from their website. It's very helpful to make sure you're on the right track. The best bang for your buck will be articulation agreements. And these are formal agreements we have between Washtenaw and the university. And it either means you're doing half of your degree here and then the other half to complete your bachelor's at the university, or you might even be able to do the majority of it here. So those are referred to as those 3+1 programs, and only your final year at the university if you're going full time. So that's kind of the distinction. 2+2 means 60 credits here, 60 credits at university. 3+1 is roughly 90 credits here and about 30 at the university. And for some, if they're taking less than 15 credits every fall and winter, it's going to take a little bit more than 4 years to graduate. So articulation agreements are generally the way to save money because it does allow you to stay here at Washtenaw longer, and it's formalized so that you really are not losing any of those credits. Those schools communicated and have said, if you complete your associate degree in this program, this is going to transfer over into this program. We have, as I already kind of stated, a lot of these different resources, but there's this website here about the transfer resources, our transfer page that will lead you to course for course equivalencies, the Michigan transfer agreement, all of our links to transfer guides and articulation agreements, and it'll list the times and days that the universities might be visiting WCC's campus. So there's, different times throughout the year besides the transfer fair where a university might come and visit, and you can go and talk to them as a drop-in. We're fortunate to have Alexi, one of my colleagues. She's another advisor. She, if you have interest in the University of Michigan Ann Arbor transfer, she's the person to connect with. She has a mix of drop-in advising and appointments. So just, you can drop by our front counter if you're on campus, or call our counseling front desk, and they will get you connected with her in terms of an appointment or for her drop-in times. And then we always have Dan, one of our EMU admissions reps from Eastern. He comes to campus for full days, Wednesdays and Thursdays, alternates those days. And that's a time that if you're thinking you want to go to Eastern to talk about their admissions process, their agreements, if you're following an articulation agreement. So you can check out that transfer page I mentioned to get the days that he's going to be on campus. So we're going to transition from talking about kind of the transfer process and getting into a little bit more of completing your MTA or degree here. So do you remember how to complete a degree audit using DegreeWorks? I believe you did that as part of this course. So hopefully you remember how to do that. You can just put Y for yes, N for no. Okay, thank you, Wanda. Glad to know that you know how to run an audit. Thanks, Jacob and Stuart. Appreciate it. Okay. So we'll do a quick recap of how to run an audit. So remember, thank you, Simone, for responding. Under your Student Service tab in your My WCC, you have that Student Records link. And by the way, this is where you can get your web final grades. If you're not a new student, you know that, but if you are a new student this semester, just so you're aware, we don't mail anything home. You can check your final grades. They should be posted later on December 19th. So a couple links below that is check your degree progress using DegreeWorks. And that will show you your current program of record and what you have completed toward that program and what you still need toward that program. Now, many of the times when I'm meeting with a student, I'll ask them if this is the program on record is accurate for them, and in some cases it's not. And you have the ability to run what's called a what if audit. And so you're going to select the degree, is it still an associate in science, is it associate in arts, associate in applied science, or maybe it's a certificate that you're now thinking of. You want to do the current catalog year. So right now we're in the 2018-2019. You're going to pick the major from the drop-down menu. So in this example, we're switching to running a what if for health program preparation, and then you click the process what if button. So now this shows you, so think of it as like, what if I change my program to this? What have I taken that still counts, and what would I still need? This does not formally change your program for you. It just allows you to see what you would still need for a new program if you do make that change. So if your program that's on record, so when you're clicking in your degree works and you're seeing that program listed in your audit is not accurate for you, only you can change your program online. So if you're paying out of pocket, you're going to follow these clicks from your gateway, My WCC, student records, then program verification/change. If you're using financial aid, you're going to go into your gateway, My WCC, under your financial aid tab. There's a link for request a program change. Okay, so only you can do that. And once your program is officially changed to what you are pursuing, then your degree audit will be updated with that new program on your record. So why might you want to run an MTA audit? That's that Michigan Transfer Agreement. So you can do this in degree works. You know, why would you want to do the MTA audit? And if you don't know, you can just put a question mark and that will let me know that you don't know, and that's fine too. Thank you, Simone. Yeah, Jacob, because it transfers pretty much anywhere. Thanks, Wanda, for responding. Morgan, okay. So so you might have this question, why would you want to do this? So the Michigan Transfer Agreement, as I briefly stated earlier, is that 100 and 200 level general education. A lot of schools will take this and use it to satisfy the majority of your general education at the university. So if you're spending your time and your money and your efforts at Washtenaw taking general courses, the goal is for you to be able to maximize those, and so that when you go to the university, you're not starting all over. You're just continuing on from where you left off and taking any of their specific upper level general education or graduation requirements. So if you follow this, and if you earn C's or better, you can complete the Michigan Transfer Agreement. And you can run a what if, just like I showed you previously, for the MTA. So under the degree, you're going to select the certificate. The catalog year is going to be 2018, 2019. And for the major, it's listed as liberal arts-MTA. And this will show you what classes you've taken that count and what you still need in order to complete the Michigan Transfer Agreement. I highly encourage you that if you're going to transfer, that you at least stay at Washtenaw to get this done. If you're going to, yes, Morgan, I agree, it is really handy. When we're in advising, a lot of the things that we're using is not top secret to advisors. We use these tools all day long, so I know how to quickly find them. But my goal is to be able to teach you all where you can find this so that you can empower yourself with this information and use it. I know sometimes the audits may, you're going to see some information on there. If you have questions about it, please feel free to come in. We can read that over together so that you understand what you're seeing on that degree audit. And you can't just assume that, any course can count for gen ed. There's certain ones that the schools agreed will fulfill the Michigan Transfer Agreement. Now, some schools use it more than others. So for example, Eastern says this satisfies all of your lower level general education. And then when you transfer, you have to do upper level writing and learning beyond the classroom and a course that meets their diverse world perspectives if you didn't do it at Washtenaw. Schools like MSU and U of M, they will still have their own gen ed requirements. But if you map out your MTA correctly with classes that transfer to those schools, you can still finish MTA and take transferable courses to them. So not every school will treat it the same way. On their website, it usually says how they will use MTA to satisfy their general education or what you might still have left to do. And some will say, takes care of all your lower level. Some will say, you take care of a lot of them, but you still have, these things to do when you transfer. So we'll work with you on that as you're looking at those specific schools. So MTA in a nutshell, as I mentioned, is 30 credits. It's for students who started at Washtenaw Fall 14 and beyond. And one of the classes most students will take is English 111. And generally, they follow that up with English 226. There's still so many schools that want the full 2-semester sequence of English that I encourage most students to do that, unless you're going for a specific school that I know does not need it or a specific major that doesn't need it. But a lot of schools will use 111 and 226 even as their admissions requirements. For math, you need a 4-credit math course. And these are a few examples listed. Math is so specific to your program and your school that I encourage you that before you pick out your math class, that you definitely talk to an advisor so that you're taking the appropriate one. Not every math class transfers to every school seamlessly. You need 2 natural science courses. One has to have a lab, and they need to be from 2 different disciplines. So if you ended up taking human biology with lab as one of your sciences, now it has to be a course different from biology. Can't use the same discipline to count for the same category. You need 2 social science courses from 2 different disciplines. So these are going to be your anthropology classes, economics, psychology, sociology, and there's others. So there's a wide variety of social science options. And then you need humanities courses, 2 from 2 different disciplines. So these are going to be your communication classes, your languages, your philosophy, your literature courses, various ones that start with HUM, so international film or comparative religions. There's a lot of courses in there. And again, you just have to get 2 different disciplines. So the whole idea of MTA is that you're getting exposure to multiple subjects. You're getting more knowledge about different topics. That's the whole idea there. 30 credits, at least a C in each course. And if you're going to be going to a competitive school, the higher the better, so you can have a higher GPA. So as you're gearing up for this upcoming semester, hopefully you're all registered for next semester already. But if you're not, again, please come see us. Even though the semester ends on Monday, the counseling office is open all next week through Friday, and then we're closed in between for the holiday break. So paying for classes, you may already be on financial aid. If you're not, though, I encourage all students to apply at FAFSA.gov. Financial aid is the overall term that refers to grants, work-study loans, and scholarships. So if you get any of those types of money, that's all considered financial aid. You do not need to reapply each semester. The 2018-2019 FAFSA is good for this semester, winter of next year, and spring, summer of next year. The 2019-2020 FAFSA is already available. So that has started becoming available earlier each fall semester, and that's going to be good for next fall start, fall 19. So you can, if you're already needing something to do over the break and want to get your FAFSA going, I encourage you to do that. The earlier the better. There's a scholarship, so the Student Resource Center scholarship, they still have money for winter. So if you're finding that maybe your financial aid doesn't cover everything that you're planning on taking, or maybe you're not getting any financial aid and you want to see if you're eligible for their scholarship, you can connect with the Student Resource Center. You can connect with them by calling our front desk office of the counseling office, and they'll get you connected with an appointment with one of the case managers. We do have book scholarships through the counseling office. Many students aren't aware of that. So again, if you're kind of finding you're in a financial bind and you have a book that you need to pay for, that generally covers up to $100. So it's something to kind of help with alleviate some of that cost. And then that wccnet.edu/scholarship is the link to seeing all of our scholarship opportunities that you might have. And there's different criteria for each one. So just kind of take a look and see if maybe there's something out there that you didn't know about that you could apply for. Do you know if you may be eligible for a Student Resource Center scholarship? You can say Y for yes or no for no, N for no. So Jen, thank you all for responding. Got quick responses there. So generally the Student Resource Center scholarship will need a FAFSA to be completed. They are usually looking for students who have financial need that might not be met with their financial aid award, or maybe other extenuating circumstances. So, you know, if you need support financially for next semester, fill out that FAFSA if you haven't already. See what you might be eligible for in terms of financial aid. If you're still coming up short to meet some of those financial needs that you have for classes, connect with the Student Resource Center. They'll take a look at your class schedule, they'll take a look at your FAFSA information and determine what, if anything, you might be eligible for from the money that they have available. Some important dates to keep in mind. So our classes for winter start January 14th. Payment is actually due this December 13th, which is Thursday, if you are already registered for winter. So if you're already registered, make sure, you know, either financial aid's in place, or you're setting up the payment plan or paying out of pocket for your classes so you don't get dropped from those classes. If you're not yet registered for winter, it gets a little bit more complicated with the payment dates because they depend on when you sign up for your classes. So I just provided the link there, or you can search for paying tuition from our homepage and you'll get to that page of what are the next upcoming deadlines for you. We'd love to connect with you. I guess I've mentioned that several times that we're available right now in person during, you know, from Monday through Saturday. Here are various hours listed. Right now we're doing drop-in advising since this is considered a peak registration time. So appointments are made only if specifically necessary or certain times. Like for example, if you can only get here in the evening, you know, we do have people here in the evening. You can always come in for drop-in advising. We also do have a dedicated staff who review our online advising forms. So on our website, there's online advising link on the left side menu, and you can submit a form or you can submit a real-time advising request. So if you want someone to, you know, connect with you at a certain day and time for an appointment, we can do that as well. So keep that in mind that we're accessible online also. You don't have to just come in person, although we do have, you know, quite a variety of hours for even the working students to be able to come meet with us in person. So if we did connect online, what do you think we may use for online advising sessions? And I'll give you a hint. It's what you're using right now. Yes, thanks, Morgan, exactly. So we also have access to GoToMeeting. I've done this before with students, so I can share my screen, especially because a lot of what we're doing requires you being on a computer. But a lot of times, depending on the question or the nature of the conversation, you know, you might be getting a phone call. It might be that simple where we set up a phone appointment. But we've done the GoToMeetings as well with students for online advising. So bottom line is we're accessible. We want to connect with you. Make sure you know what you're taking, you're on the right track, or if you have any kind of questions that, you know, you connect with us so we can help you get to your goal. If you're thinking of certain careers or majors, we do have some specialists on campus for different majors. So if you're thinking of business, like accounting, or the general business transfer, retail management, supply chain, or any of our IT programs, computer science, you know, learning about C++, networking, Sandro is going to be the advisor that you want to connect with, and that's his information listed. He does not have an office in the counseling department. He's located in the business education building where a lot of those classes are held. Additionally, if you're thinking of healthcare, so one of our health programs like nursing, here, PTA, radiography, surgical technology, or any of our allied health certificates, Sue or Carolyn will be the staff that you want to connect with to discuss courses that you need to take and plan to apply to those programs, because those are competitive admissions, most of them. If you're thinking any advanced technology careers like auto or mechatronics or welding, or public service careers, so criminal justice with the police academy or childcare, you want to connect with Nikki Lee. She's our advisor for those programs. So we do have those specialists on campus so that you're aware of more of those specific course requirements and program requirements. If you can't connect with them for whatever reason, their availability doesn't fit your needs, you can always, general counseling is always available for you. And that is all I have for content. Do you have any questions about things that I covered before I hand it back over to Megan to discuss your final steps? And you can put N for no or Y for yes, and then I'll wait for you to type your question. You're welcome, Morgan. Glad to be here. Thank you for listening. All righty, I'll turn it back over to Megan. Thank you all for your time this morning. Wish you the best with the final week and hope to meet with you all at some point. Take care.
All righty. Thanks to Christina for coming in and explaining all that great information. And I'll share her contact info with you, even though it's in the video, just in case you have any questions for her or need to contact her for any reason. Okay, so at this point right now, you should be complete through Unit 7, Module number 1. I've made sure that everything is graded up to this point right now, so make sure, please, that you check your grades. If you're missing something that you think you should have graded on there, of course, let me know. So by tomorrow at 11:59 p.m., you should have completed Unit number 7, Module 2, which is watching the video for putting together your career planning portfolio and completing the career planning portfolio quiz. As far as everything else goes, all assignments should be complete by this coming Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So that's everything through Unit number 7, Module number 3. That's every assignment, even if you have something that you've missed that you expected to go back to or that you let me know you would be turning in late. So that is the course post-assessment, the reflective portfolio, the career planning portfolio, the course feedback, and the WCC online learning template tutorial. So if you're missing some things, you'll need to get those in as quick as possible. Because I'll then only have a few days to grade everything and then turn in final grades. So keep that in mind because I believe final grades are due for me by the 18th or 19th at the latest. So you'll want to get those in as soon as possible. So at this point, with your reflective portfolio and the career planning portfolio, you've basically completed all of those assignments. It's just going back, creating a document, putting all of the journals together, putting together for your career assessment assignments, those sorts of things, and kind of reflecting back on those experiences throughout the semester. So you want to start putting that together as soon as possible. I did post a new rubric under announcements for you because it was brought to my attention that the career planning portfolio was the same rubric for both of those assignments. So if you needed one copy of each, it is under announcements on the course homepage. So what questions do we have at this point right now with everything that we've covered to this point? If you don't have any questions for me, you can again type N for no. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Very good. And you are absolutely welcome. I hope it's been beneficial to you to kind of assess yourself and kind of see where you're at and what you're interested in going into in the future. I know we covered a lot of different things throughout the semester, so hopefully it was beneficial to you to kind of think about some of those things and then also learn about all of the different resources that are available to you at WCC that can help you in the future if you're planning on, continuing forward with your education and your careers. So it was a pleasure having all of you. Thank you so much for all of your hard work this semester. And again, of course, if you have any questions, email me over the next few days. I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible, but get those assignments in as soon as you can, and I will get them graded as soon as I can for you. And hopefully I'll see you guys in a different class at some point too. And again, I teach full-time at Eastern, so look me up if you decide to transfer there as well. So good luck to all of you. Happy holidays. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And have a wonderful holiday season. Get some rest before you start for the winter semester. Make sure you register as soon as you can for classes. So hopefully I will see you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.